Well, hello, everybody. I'm Huell Hauser. Hi, I'm Huell Hauser. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Huell Hauser. Hi, I'm Huell Hauser. Wait a minute. There's a helicopter coming here. Wait a minute. Oh, get out of here. Wow. Look. What is that? Let's get it out of here. Look at this. I saw one with my feet. Look at this. Oh, my God. And there they are, Louie, up there. That is an amazing sight to see as we continue our search for California's gold.
Banant.
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 Dun 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 dun. Well, hello, folks. Huell's Gold, episode 16, Devil's Jaw. I'm Chris.
Old DJ. I'm Alan.
All right, so this week, we're in the Central Coast again.
Your favorite?
Yeah. But we're in a weird part of the Central Coast.
Whoa, weird?
It's weird because you're not, unless you're in the Air Force, you're not really allowed to go there.
That's true, yeah.
We're in the Lompoc Vandenberg Air Force area, I guess.
Yeah. Well, the locals call it Vandy, right?
I would know. I'm not allowed.
Me neither. I'm going to guess.
But, yeah, the reason we did the Jaws there is because that was actually the theme song of this episode. And obviously we can't use the Jaws song.
Yeah.
Like, we'd have to pay $1,000 every second.
A second, yeah. For a millisecond?
Yeah.
No, that's
I don't know how Huell got away with playing the Jaws theme on California's Gold, but he did.
Well, I mean, at Louis' talk,
yeah,
there were a few things. I think Huell kind of was a person who would do something, and you ask for forgiveness.
Oh,
later.
For sure. Yeah.
For example, he never got filming permits.
No, that's what Louis was telling us. Just, that's what he said, through the hand, We don't need those.
Yeah.
But this is an interesting thing because it's a part of the coastline along Vandenberg that is called Devil's Jaw because it's so evil. I don't know. Well, you'll find out in a little bit why it's called that. But the cold open here before we get to the clip, Huell is in Lompoc, which is kind of like the town right nearby there. Have you ever been to Lompoc?
I haven't, no.
Me neither. It's one of those, it's not really on the coast, but those central coast-ish towns that I think it would be cool to go to because there's actually an episode years down the line where it's like the city of murals. There's murals on every wall there.
That's cool.
You're into murals.
Yeah, they're cool. Did you notice in the cold open that you're talking about, we see the Explorer.
Yes.
Which apparently they got one of every year.
Yeah, that was the question that I asked at the talk there.
Well, did you notice that, the angle where Huell is, Louis zooms in, you can see the license plate number.
No.
Yeah, ZWJG189. So maybe we can use this as a comparison if we see other, in the future episodes to see if these things are swapped out.
Yeah, because that was the whole point that I asked Louis whatever happened of the Explorer, and that's when he let us know that there isn't one. They got a new one every year. So there's 20-something of these Explorers.
Which there still is one question that I probably should have asked as a follow-up to your question, which is, how many miles a year did you put on this thing?
Exactly.
40 billion?
Well, they also fly sometimes, so maybe it's not even that much. Because where is this Explorer sitting? At the KCET studios? Where Huell's office was? We need to get Louis in here one day.
And we need to figure out where all of these Explorers went.
Exactly. Well, we'll get more into the Louis talk at the end. We'll give a full little breakdown. But for now, Huell, tell us about the Jaw.
Now, to get there, we had to drive about 7 miles inside Vandenberg Air Force Base, a huge facility that's been in operation since 1957, where they test missiles and launch satellites. We weren't allowed to photograph any of the launch sites because I guess there's still some secret stuff going on. But the base covers over 98,000 acres, much of it in beautiful wilderness and much of it in coastline. And it was here, on the coast, that we reached our destination and got our first look at Devil's Jaw. Now, this whole section of the California coast is rough. Lots of churning water, and jagged rocks seem to be everywhere. But this exact spot holds the distinction of being the most dangerous. In fact, it's not just called Devil's Jaw. It's also known as the Graveyard of the Pacific, and for good reason, too. Because you see, over the years, literally hundreds of ships, large and small alike, have run aground and sunk in these waters. Some say as many as 400. But on a foggy night in 1923, something happened here that still is almost impossible to believe.
Okay, so once we get past the Jaws, we see that the logo this week comes right up out of the waves of the jaw, of Devil's Jaw. And Huell was talking about they couldn't take many pictures coming in, right? Why was that?
Yeah, he said, 'cause I guess you'll steal some secret stuff going on.
What? Like, Huell, you are a Marine. You should know. Don't act surprised.
Right. Oh.
But one thing I was thinking about, because I looked at where this was on the map, Vandenberg is a huge, probably very valuable piece of real estate.
Dude, think of the same thing. Think of how valuable that land is.
Yeah, because it's basically the whole coastline from like Santa Barbara all the way up to Pismo, basically.
Right, which is, Santa Barbara's pretty cheap property.
Yeah.
So,
even the whole Five Cities area, Oceano down there, those houses there, I was looking because I was looking at all that kind of information. That's high dollar real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And all this completely, well, it's not completely undeveloped, but mostly undeveloped area there. Just, well, Elon Musk is using it these days, I guess.
He's schlomming rockets into space.
And then landing them back down, which he's so crazy. But this isn't about him. We got another crazy guy to talk about. Because Huell is talking all about, as you heard in the clip, a maritime disaster. And it is pretty amazing.
It's a pretty big one.
Yeah, that 7 destroyer ships
got destroyed.
Yeah. And I think what was most amazing to me as I'm hearing the story is that there were 14 of them, like going secretly from north down south, and that it took 7.
Come on, dude. They did their best.
I guess. But we first hear of the story firsthand from Jeffrey Geiger, who's a historian.
He also wrote a book.
Oh, yeah?
On this, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Camp Cook and Vandenberg Air Force Base, 1941 to 1966.
All right.
And he also served as the chief civilian historian. That's a thing.
Yeah.
Which is also in the history office chief. Which my first thing when looking at this, and the reason I looked this up is because it said historian.
Yeah, blanket title.
It just blanket.
He's literally dressed, if there was a history man costume for Halloween, that's what this is. He looks like a historian.
How do you get that job?
You're asking me. I need that job.
Well, I noticed I was looking up subsequent historians, and a lot of them have their, well, looks like he's not Dr. Geiger, so I don't know what he actually studied, but subsequent ones, they were European military history, different types of military history, stuff like that. So.
Makes sense. But he kind of just gives a little rundown of the story that you heard in the clip again and gives some more detail. And one of the things he talked about was the navigation system that they used that wasn't very good, called Dead Reckoning. Yeah. Why would you... I'm sure there's some other reason for it, but hey, we need to make sure we don't hit these rocks. Turn on the Dead Reckoning. Okay.
Right. Well, he spilled some... well, he didn't spill beans. Huell asked him about how the Navy responded.
Yeah.
What I thought was interesting is they tried to cover it up.
I know.
Like a big old whoopsie.
Which it didn't take long for the Santa Barbara newspaper to be all about it, mostly because, as you hear soon, a lot of civilians in the area, the Devil's Jaw area, had to come rescue all these sailors. Like, they were lost at sea, and as Huell said, it's amazing only 23 of them died. Which, yes, it is. I mean, there's still a lot of dudes, but...
I mean, considering, well, the conditions, I guess...
Yeah, because these are... I mean, this is some rough area. Just behind old Jeff, the waves are just slamming these rocks. Why not just don't have the ships there? Just get... I mean, I guess that's the point of the crash, that they were they thought they were further away, and it was foggy and everything. But after Jeff, we get to meet a few of the dudes who were out there helping with this rescue. And the first dude we have is Daryl Schuler. And he's basically got our older guy, California's Gold interviewee costume on. Or the uniform. I called it a uniform.
Yeah.
The plaid shirt, buttoned up, tucked in, trucker hat, glasses case, and other junk in his pocket. And I'm not going to call them perma-tints because they're a full tint. This is just his sunglasses.
Yeah, and did you notice he's gripping some newspapers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we never see what they are.
Well, I mean, we see that still picture earlier of a newspaper. I got to imagine that that's what it is, but yeah. So Daryl just kind of talks about how they were all these sailors were stuck out on rocks. Then we hear from Ed Negus, who tells of all the oil that was out there, which makes sense. I mean, these are big ships, and they'd have all this oil and fuel and stuff, and it was polluting all this water. But I liked his little tag at the end of it. He just said, "Look like the Dickens." These guys are kind of trivializing the disaster in their retelling.
Well, even Daryl's talking about, I forget exactly how he mentioned it, but it was they ran a line through the ship, right? And the guy was trying to get out. Do you remember this part?
Was it about the cook?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to get to the quote.
Yeah. I have it written too. Because he tells it. I'll tell you the cook story. There was a banging from the hull that they could hear, and all of a sudden they see this fire axe like cracking through the hull of the ship, and then this guy pops out, and it's a Filipino cook. And then they talk about how to get him and the other guys out. They had rope that was covered in, what do you call it? In tar. And then,
then at the end, I mean, because we don't know the qualities of this. Well, we don't know the person they're saving.
No.
Right? And then at the end, he said, yeah. And he was a Filipino cook.
Yeah. And then the rope, when he's talking about these guys, he's kind of like giggling a little bit. They couldn't hang on to nothing. It's too greasy. And then you can see in his face, it changes in 1 second. Because he's like laughing, so greasy.
Like Ed said.
It was terrible. He just switches gears to being remorseful. But, this is kind of how guys retelling their stories from long ago get a little excitable about this stuff. And I don't blame him. Sounds like a fun thing to talk about.
Yeah. It's a cool bit of history.
Yeah. So, as Huell is heading to the next little part of this story, at 6 minutes and 56 seconds, he exclaims, "This is amazing!" Exactly how he would many, many times years down the line, but they're few and far between here. But he's heading down to the shore with Alex Kirkish, who's a Vandenberg archaeologist.
Which I guess you can just get employed by the military base to be a historian, an archaeologist.
Yep. Mm-hmm. What did you notice about Huell when they're going down to the rocks to look at this wreckage?
Well, you can see that he has a burst of energy.
Yeah. He kind of like on the our first episode over at Fort Ross when he sees that pipe on the ground, he just runs over. This is like one of the most dangerous shorelines in California, and he just runs down to the very edge to go grab a piece of metal from an old ship. Just not even looking at the ocean behind him. Watch out, dude.
There's a bit, too. It's at around 8:08. Speaking of his fearlessness.
Yeah.
Did you see the waves crashing into the shore and he just stands there?
Yeah.
He doesn't
exactly.
flinch at all.
Not even a little bit. And the rocks they're standing on are all wet, so obviously waves have crashed up that far.
No,
and he's just like, he's looking out like he's looking at a pretty sunset.
Oh, man.
But then Huell wants to get a closer look, which he just keeps wanting to tempt fate out here. So he gets in a boat with the Lompoc Dive Club.
Which, if you're watching the scene when you first see it looks like there's only Huell and two guys. I feel bad for the guy in the back.
Yeah.
He's really trying to look over the shoulder just to get his face on camera.
Well, what I'm wondering is how did Louis get this shot?
That's true.
Because the shot right when they first show Huell in the boat, it's the 2.5 guys, because you can barely see the third guy. And they're like holding onto the windshield, and the boat's in motion. Where is Louis? Is he like hanging on to the front of the boat with the camera? We need to ask him if we can ever get in touch with him again.
I was hoping we could see a reflection in Huell's glasses.
Yeah, because he's got those very dark tint.
Because the sun's hitting it just the right way. No, you can't really tell. And it's too short of a shot.
Yeah. One thing that does happen right here when Huell's out in the boat is he goes past the Point Conception Lighthouse.
Oh, did you notice that? Yeah. I'm surprised you did.
That's a rare one, too. I've never seen that one in person because you can't really see it from the shore at all. You'd have to like go down to it.
Well, Huell, as he refers to as Point Conception, this I've heard is where cold water and warm water split. This is commonly the geographical area, which I don't know if that's true, but it's what I've heard. What do you think about that?
Sounds good. I don't know. Who'd you hear this from?
I was in the Pleasanton Historical Society. It's in the old police building on Main Street in Pleasanton.
Well, why were they talking about something so far south?
That's a good question. I think it was...
just lighthouse lore?
No, yeah, it had something to do with the history of that area. I forget. But I definitely remember a poster.
Okay.
So I need to go back, obviously.
Well, there's one way to find it out. We could just look it up.
All right.
This is amazing.
All right, we're back.
Yep.
That technically is true.
Yeah.
Well,
seems like something that like sailors needed to know because it like pulls the boat one way or the other.
Well, because the cold waters from the Central Coast, they schlamy with the warm waters. Oh, it's also been called the Cape Horn of the Pacific.
Okay.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah. But that's just a quick little aside as Huell continues on the boat with Carol McComb, who's the captain of this little vessel they're on. And one thing I noticed about Carol is that he is
so serious.
Yes. I put he's a stone cold captain. He does
That's a good
not.
one too.
He does not emote one bit.
No. Everything is somber in his voice. You see that over there? We could die if we stay out here too long. Not that serious, but it's close. It approaches it. What I thought was funny about this is Huell wanted it to be a worse day to get a better story.
And he's kind of like, I can't really put my finger on the type of person he kind of came off as in this instance, but it just seemed almost like one of these guys who would wear one of those wing suits Like, I just love the thrill of it, man. I was just hoping that it'd be more treacherous. It's like, okay, I get it. You're an adrenaline junkie, Huell, but you got a lot more shows to do, which obviously you survived this, but Carol was not having that.
No, he started just pointing out certain things, what would make it dangerous. And I think he even mentioned we wouldn't be out here
No.
if it was that bad.
He's a stone cold captain. You don't mess with that.
He's a SCC. So it ends coming to the point where Carol's spidey sense or captain senses are tingling.
Yeah.
Where he just mentions, it's time to go. Mm-hmm. And then in the scene of them boating, I'm going to call it boating back, Huell says, we hightailed it out of there.
Yeah, man, he probably wanted to leave a long time before this, but you were trying to get all your cool story spicy spots. But that kind of wraps up the Devil's Jaw, which Louis did get a couple good shots of waves like crashing up over top of these huge rocks. So
Pretty sharp looking too.
Steer clear. Stay away.
So the final thing, the name, Devil's Jaw.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds scary.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking that we have a river here called the Killer Kern.
We sure do.
And that sounds a lot scarier.
Uh-huh. Well, it's not like that's its actual name, but it is the name that people have given it because so many people have died in the river. What was it? There were like 14 people who died last year.
Yeah, I think it's in 260 something now.
Mm-hmm.
Is that sounds about right.
Well, let's look it up real quick.
This is amazing.
All right, so there it is. 269. We have it in English and in Spanish
Yeah.
at the bottom of the canyon.
Yeah, there's always been that big sign at the mouth of the Kern River Canyon to get up to the Kern River Valley, which we'll be visiting in the weeks to come. It's one of our episodes that we're most excited about. But I got to say, it is a misleading sign because it says 269 lives lost since 1968. So it's a long time. But yeah, like we said, there were a number of people who died just this last year because you don't swim in the Killer Kern. You don't boat at the Devil's Jaw.
You just don't do it.
Just don't do it. Just steer clear, guys. That's our PSA of the day. But for now, we need to head out of the Devil's Jaw and head over to
The mouth.
the mouth of the mission. Huell, hit it.
La Purisima Mission, originally built in the late 1700s, is the 11th of a chain of missions that stretched from San Diego to Sonoma. Now a California State Historic Park, it's the state's most fully restored mission, a real jewel. And it's surrounded by over 900 acres of undeveloped land. So it's possible to visit here, look all around you, and really feel like you've gone back in time. Now, La Purisima hasn't always looked so good. Way back in the 1830s, the buildings began to fall into ruin. And by the 1930s, the place was in total ruin. There was almost nothing left. But in 1934, the Civilian Conservation Corps stepped in and began the immense job of reconstruction and restoration. Over 200 men worked on this project, and in 1941, on the eve of the 154th anniversary of its original founding, it was completed and opened to the public as a state park for everyone to enjoy.
Ready?
And recently, some of those original CCC workers came back to La Purisima to celebrate the 50th year of its restoration. It was a time for speeches, for certificates to be handed out, for an official anniversary cake to be cut, and most importantly, for these men to reminisce about the experiences they had while working to restore this proud and beautiful old mission.
Did you notice the library Huell talks about when talking about
Yeah.
Lompoc.
Yeah.
So when we lived up north, Livermore actually has a Carnegie Library as well.
There's a number of them that are going to be talked about in the coming episodes that we're doing. There's one in a more rural area where it was like basically the cultural lifeline of a city, and Huell goes to see them do their annual kind of renovation of it. So yeah, we'll get more into the history of the Carnegie libraries when we get to that one, but
Well, that's something to look forward to.
yeah, he kind of chronicles Lompoc, the town. He talks about there being the largest stand of Italian stone pines outside of Europe. That's a very specific thing to brag about. But the Lompoc Valley Flower Fest, which he talks about that happens every June, well, it still happens. And it's coming up pretty quick because it's only about 2 or 3 months away. June 20th through 24th in Ryan Park in Lompoc. So maybe we'll head out there if we have time
too.
Because it sounded cool. You get the tours of the flower fields. You get the mini rose parade and all that stuff. But the real reason we're here
Yeah, what's the real reason?
is the La Purisima Mission.
This is your favorite mission.
It is my favorite mission only because it's the first one I ever went to. Because like we'll hear later, this is where 4th graders go to visit missions in our area of California.
Mhm.
But first, Huell needs to talk to some more cowpokes about their time doing stuff.
Which we don't get his name initially.
The first guy,
Do you see Ernie?
that's what I thought too. But because as you heard in the clip, Huell's here with some of the guys who helped rebuild La Purisima to be what it is today. And these Civilian Conservation Corps members seem to think very fondly about their time there.
Yeah, about the blisters.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, start off with Ernie, and he talks about thinking he was going to get a job learning how to make tiles from scratch, which I guess even in the 40s they weren't doing that anymore.
one thing I did notice about it, these were kids.
Yeah,
Did they have their workers' permits?
dude. Everyone needed a job back then.
True.
But after Ernie, we get another guy. I don't know. We can't see his name
No, you
tag,
can't.
But he's wearing this DWP hat, and he's got a really odd facial hair configuration where his mustache is only half his lip, and he's got like kind of a goatee, but it goes halfway up the cheek.
Yeah, he let it expand into like the bottom chin neck portion.
It's kind of cool. I kind of like it.
Do you really?
No, I wouldn't do it, but like for this guy, it works because he's a member.
Yeah.
He's got a members only jacket.
Right.
But I like the way that right off the bat, Huell asks him a question, and he says, "Listen, blah 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 blah." It's like, dude, we're right in your face. We hear you.
Oh man. So you were talking about the 4th graders.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you noticed this, but as the 4th graders are walking through on the mission tour,
I know where you're going.
okay, do you know where I'm going? At about 1940,
Yeah.
what do you see?
I see a Bart Simpson shirt.
Bart Simpson shirt.
So this kid obviously is a camera hog.
He is, and he's yeah, let's just go with that.
Yeah.
He breaks out from the pack, does a 360-degree turn, so you can see his Bart Simpson shirt, and just jumps right back in.
I mean, this is 1992. Michael Jackson's the king of pop. He's doing a little MJ spin. And then he's like keeps his like side eyeing the camera the whole time, like, "Oh, where you at, dude? Where you at?" And then okay, so basically what we got is a whole group of it's like a 4th grade class doing the La Purisima tour, which you did this too, right?
No.
No, what?
No. We made missions.
Well, no, we did that too, but
That's all I got. Everyone made them out of sugar cubes.
we went there.
I don't remember going.
Oh well.
Unless I blocked it out of my memory.
Guess those East Bakersfield school districts didn't want to pony up the cash for that, huh?
Come on. Or maybe Mother didn't sign the waiver.
True, yeah. Got to get that permission slip. So I have one memory from the La Purisima 4th grade trip I did. I had to go to the bathroom. And my friend and I said, "Hey, we got to go to the bathroom." And we go, and there's only one that I can remember. And we went around, went to the bathroom. And of course, as kids, we took that as an opportunity to like totally take our time and goof around. And we were standing at the entrance of the bathroom after doing our duty. And all of a sudden, we see something catch our eye out of the corner of our eye up towards the top of the doorway. And there was a giant great horned owl above the doorway staring down at us.
He was spying on you?
The whole time. And then he just keeps looking and then just starts flying right towards us and swoops over our heads and takes off.
You think the teacher sent the owl in?
I didn't go to Hogwarts. But it was just so crazy. It's one of those weird things where an owl flies in your head. That's the only thing I remember of this mission.
That is bizarre.
Which the lady who gives this mission tour wearing her somewhat culturally insensitive Indian garb.
What's that supposed to mean?
Come on, dude. She's got like this pigtail wig on. But they don't say much about the Native Americans here.
No, but we get a front row picture,
Yes.
or I guess image of the Bart Simpson shirt.
Yeah, because they do a little bell demonstration.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Bart Simpson boy, of course, first in line, ringing the bell.
Do you think he was upset that he only got to ring it once?
He wanted to be the number 2.
He wanted to be the
Yeah.
double, the ouble double, so to speak. And I did notice after about 3 times, the docent gives, "Oh, that was good."
Yeah.
And they keep doing it. "Oh, that was good." Do it again. "Okay, that's enough."
Yeah. She was done after once, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, because they're buying these giant bells, and she's having to hear it probably 6 times a day. Mm-hmm. And that culturally insensitive wig doesn't really cover the sound that much. Huell does a little interview with a little girl saying that missions are neat. And then he heads over and he wants to talk to the other docents who are dressed up.
These are culturally sensitive.
Well,
Right? Attire?
one looks like he's just wearing pajamas. There's a guy wearing
Is that a do-rag?
yeah, like striped pajamas and a do-rag with a necklace on.
Did you ever wear a hair trainer growing up?
To be honest though, I did want to. I just didn't know where to get them.
So I did. Remember I talked about the 88 cent plus store?
Yeah.
So if you head down the street, it was past Thrifty's, it was past Young's, and then you go by Finglin Chinese food
Okay.
on Niles. There was a spot, I don't remember the name, but I picked up.
Is it where that barber shop still is right
Yeah, the Barber College.
there?
Yeah, so right next to that there was a little store, and they had a Tommy Hilfiger
A
hair
wave
trainer. Yeah, wave cap. That's the technical term. And I put it on. Try to train my hair
to go back?
to go back.
Yeah. No, I just moosed my hair to do stuff.
Oh, nice. Like, you put LA gel in there?
No. That's the thing.
Sorry, LA style.
My mom wouldn't even buy me my own because gel was what was cool to have in your hair when you were a kid. But my mom used mousse in her own hair, so that's what I had to use.
Mousse can't. No, I can't do it.
Well, exactly.
See, because
no
you can't.
kidding.
You don't get a mega hold.
I know. That's why if you look at my 4th, 5th grade class picture, I'm trying to like have the slicked back cool kid hair, but you know, they took pictures at probably 10 a.m. I've already been at school for an hour and a half, and I already have the dry sides, so it's like poofing on the sides. Man.
Oh.
Buy your kids gel if they want gel. It's $1. It holds their hair.
Oh, man.
But
all right, so back to the headwear.
Yeah. Because he doesn't even talk to the guy with the rag on. He talks to a guy wearing a poncho, and he has a little story about time warping, which he's not a time traveler. Then we talk to the teachers. All these ladies look like teachers I had in school.
Yeah.
Like these are quintessential teachers for sure.
What I thought was interesting is that they probably do this every year.
Yeah.
And they say that the students tell them things that they didn't know, that the docent relayed to them because the students pay more attention.
I don't know how much I'm buying that, Mrs. Jones. Did you notice the teacher in the background, though? She really wants to be a part of it, but was like too far away when the interview started or is setting up lunch or whatever she's doing back there. But she is so eye-catching.
The highlighter fanny pack that she gets.
Highlighter yellow fanny pack over top of her stone washes. She is the best dressed of the episode.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, these stonewashed jeans.
Yep.
Oh, man. We call those Joe Dirt jeans.
JDJs. But
that about does it.
That's it. Yeah, this is a pretty quick one. There's not a ton that he can do on a single mission, which I guess is why he did all of the missions in a series later on, which we'll do one day. We'll chronicle that whole thing. But as you heard, there wasn't a specific theme song for this week to start it off. We had Jaws. And we don't have a specific outro this week either. At least of California, Here I Come.
No. It's the ranger that's assigned to the mission. Mm-hmm. His name is Steve Jones, which I guess this is Mrs. Jones's husband.
There you go.
He decides to play a number called El Charro.
Yeah. And Huell's setting him up. He's got him sitting next to the old mission with his nice puffy green jacket on. Huell, anyway. The Mr. Jones, he's got kind of like a Spanish style puffy shirt on. But Huell is grilling this dude.
I know.
What? So he's telling about how he's nice enough to play this song, but you're a little nervous, aren't you? And the guy's like, yeah, I've never played this solo before.
And my Spanish isn't, all there, but I'm working on it.
Oh, so this is going to be either your new job as a musician or the last day of your job as a ranger. I guess you could say that.
But he plays it, Ranger Jones.
Yeah.
I thought he did a pretty good job.
Yeah, he did much better at guitar and singing than I could ever do.
But I do wonder one thing.
Yeah.
This is old Steve giving his best stab at Spanish.
Right?
What do you think Louis thought of this?
Well, Louis doesn't seem like a very judgmental guy from when we were talking to him. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure he thought you didn't roll your R's too good. But
he doesn't. He has standards.
Well, if you notice also, which we can conjecturize this, we only see him play the song for maybe 10 seconds. And then Louis cuts to just shots of the mission. So maybe he didn't even want to see his stupid face.
Just in the editing room, he just waved him off.
Yeah. Get him out of here. I got tons of mission stuff. Use that. But that is the end of this episode of California's Gold, but it's not the end of this episode of Huell's Gold.
No, because speaking of Louis,
yeah.
What did we do last weekend?
Well, as you heard last week, we had to jump in at the end to give you that little tidbit about what we learned while visiting Louis in Valencia. And I got to tell you, it did not disappoint.
No, it was good.
Yeah.
A lot of the stories were stories from the book, but it was nice to hear them in Louis' voice.
Yeah, because this is probably, the 15th time he's done this book tour kind of a thing. And it seemed like he's got like his down pat thing that he does. Mm-hmm. But what was amazing to me is that he had very detailed answers to the questions that everyone got to ask after. And I'd say there was stuff in the answers that he gave us which was kind of obvious, and then other things like the explorer question I asked about that he telling us that there was only one per year instead of just one total. I think Louis had a lot more to give in just than just this one book's worth of stories.
Yeah. And the only way, which I don't know if he's ever going to write another book, but maybe anyone going to his talk on these book tours, you can really formulate your question. Maybe that's something, so you can get some more information out of him. Mm-hmm. I guess that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
'Cause there is a lot of knowledge in that head.
Yeah. He did so many of these shows, and obviously he's not going to remember details of every one, but the fact that he remembered the falling off the horse thing of an episode we just happened to be doing, and this is 1992 when this happened. That's a long time.
Yeah.
But Louis was a really nice guy. Yeah, he came with his wife and his granddaughter. Seemed like a family road trip up to Valencia. And we also got to meet some of our fellow Huell heads out there who came out to the event and got to talk all kinds of Huell after the show. And that was fun.
Yeah, so it was fun. It did not disappoint, and we would recommend it to anyone that's going. Although we would recommend getting there a bit early.
Yeah, because we did get there early, but obviously not early enough, because we were standing with the extra 50 people that didn't get seats in the back. And, we were there at least 20, 25 minutes early. So
right, and I heard one of the ladies that was running the event, or maybe just a volunteer, I think we're going to need to close the doors.
Yeah. Well, do you remember when we left, they had printed out a sign really quick that said event closed?
Oh, I didn't see it, no.
Yeah. As we were walking out, I saw that. I was like, oh, dang.
How many people did they turn away?
I don't know, but it was deceptively packed because the room we went in, it was like kind of tucked in the back of the side of the library, and we thought we were the only ones there at first. Like we were like, oh man, what's going to happen when we walk in this door? We sign in the sign-in sheet. She's like, oh well, we ran out of seats a long time ago. Oh, okay.
And that's about it.
That's it. Speaking of that's it for this episode.
That's totally it.
Yeah. We wanted to play the song El Charro that Mr. Jones played at the end. We hope you like that, and we hope that you come along with us next time as we continue our search for Huell's Gold.
Estaba un charro sentado en las trancas de un corral. Estaba un charro sentado en las trancas de un corral. Su mayordomo le dice, no estés triste, Nicolás. Su mayordomo le dice, no estés triste, Nicolás. Necesito buen caballo, buena silla y buen gabán. Necesito buen caballo, buena silla y buen gabán. Su mayordomo le dice, lo que gustes, Nicolás. Su mayordomo